You'd think that flipping a switch at 300 kilometers per hour would make overtaking simple, wouldn't you? But here's the thing. The drag reduction system has changed more than just how drivers pass each other. It's rewritten the rules of strategy, physics, and racing itself. And yet, there are moments when DRS doesn't deliver the pass at all. So what's really happening when that rear wing flips open? Let's find out. DRS was introduced in 2011 because overtaking had become nearly impossible. Aerodynamic grip was so strong that following cars couldn't get close enough to attempt a pass. The system fundamentally changed the sport's DNA. Some argue it saved racing, others say it made wins feel artificial, handed to you by a button, rather than earned through brilliance. What's undeniable is this. DRS doesn't just affect the driver hitting the accelerator or the one defending. It ripples through pit stops, fuel strategy, tire management, and racecraft itself. Teams now build entire strategies around when and where DRS zones occur on each circuit. And here's where it gets interesting. Not every driver benefits equally from it. Some cars suit DRS better than others, and sometimes the defending driver can actually turn the hunter into the hunted. The gap between first and second place isn't just physics anymore. It's psychology, engineering, and knowing when to trust the button. So here's the paradox that keeps engineers awake at night. DRS was supposed to make overtaking easier, but the real story is far more subtle than just pressing a button and flying past. Let's break down what actually happens when a driver hits that DRS button. Imagine the rear wing as a fortress of downforce. It's pushing the car into the track with tremendous force, keeping those rear tires glued to the asphalt. When DRS activates, the top flap of the rear wing opens like a trap door. That gap allows air that was being forced down over the wing to escape freely, destroying the downforce vacuum in seconds. Suddenly, the car is producing 25 to 30% less drag. That sounds fantastic, right? No more wind resistance fighting against you. But, and this is crucial, you've also lost massive downforce, which means less grip pushing those tires into the track. The car becomes twitchier, more nervous at high speed, especially into corners. Picture it like this. Imagine running at full sprint while balancing a heavy backpack. Then someone rips it off you. You're lighter, faster, but you lose your stability and feel less planted. That's the driver's dilemma every single lap DRS is available. The straightaway drag disappears, sure, but the rear of the car wants to slide and move more than it did with the wing locked. Now the car ahead, the one being hunted, they're watching their mirrors, and they face a different problem. They see that DRS gap opening behind them, and instantly they know they're vulnerable on the next straight. But here's where strategy enters the arena. If that defending driver is clever, they might refuse to defend aggressively into the corner before the DRS zone. Why? Because an aggressive defense might cost them grip and tire temperature, making them even slower through the zone. Tire temperature is absolutely critical here. DRS zones aren't just about raw speed, they're about whether your tires are hot enough to deliver the grip you desperately need. Cold tires mean less mechanical grip, which means when that rear wing opens and your downforce vanishes, the car feels genuinely dangerous. Hot tires, though, they forgive more. Some circuits favor DRS much more than others. A track like Monza, with its long straights and high-speed corners, is a DRS hunter's paradise. Meanwhile, tracks like Monaco, with its maze of tight turns and almost no straight, make DRS almost meaningless. Engineers know every centimeter of every track, so they build cars specifically configured for where DRS will and won't matter. A team might sacrifice cornering grip on a tight corner circuit, gambling that DRS will deliver the overtaking margin they need. And that's the beautiful truth underneath all this. DRS isn't a magic wand. It's a tool that only works when the driver, the tires, the fuel load, the track layout, and the opponent's strategy all align perfectly. The button is just the beginning. Everything else is earned the old-fashioned way, through intelligence, bravery, and understanding how to exploit those precious fractions of a second. Let's ground this in real history, because DRS has decided some of the most dramatic moments in modern Formula One. Think back to Abu Dhabi, December 2021. The final race of the season, title on the line between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Hamilton had built a lead over the closing laps, but then a safety car bunched the field with just a handful of corners to go. Suddenly, DRS was live again, and Verstappen had one lap, one chance to make it count. He closed on Hamilton through the DRS zone, found the slipstream, braked late into turn 6, and they made contact that would define a championship. But here's what people often forget. DRS alone didn't win that race. Verstappen's tires were fresher, his car was positioned perfectly, and he had the nerve to take an impossible gap. DRS was the weapon, but the strategy, the setup, the driver skill, that was everything. Jump ahead to Silverstone 2022, and you see a completely different story. Charles Leclerc, driving for Ferrari, had the pace advantage over George Russell's Mercedes for most of the race. But when DRS opened up on those long British straights, Russell could close the gap lap after lap, tyre deg permitting. Eventually, Leclerc's tyres gave up the ghost, and Russell swept past. But it took consistent pressure over dozens of laps. DRS gave Russell the tool to stay close, but it wasn't a single heroic overtake. It was death by 1,000 cuts, patience mixed with mechanical advantage. Then there's the flip side, Hungary 2016, where safety car chaos and rain actually neutralized DRS completely. Hamilton and Rosberg were battling in treacherous conditions where opening a rear wing wasn't clever, it was reckless. The overtaking had to happen the hard way, through sheer driving skill and tire management in the wet. No button could help you there. These moments teach us something crucial. DRS creates opportunity, but it never guarantees success. A driver still needs the racecraft to exploit it. The team still needs the strategy to time it right. And sometimes, like in Hungary, conditions can make even the best tool useless. That's what makes Formula One beautiful. And that's why DRS, for all its technological sophistication, is just one piece of an enormously complex puzzle. Now imagine, for a moment, a Formula One season where DRS didn't exist at all, where that rear wing stayed firmly shut for every single lap, every single race. Some fans argue the sport would be better for it, that we'd see more genuine overtaking based purely on driver talent and tire strategy, less reliance on a technological shortcut. But here's what would probably happen. The cars ahead would be even harder to catch because the aerodynamic advantage would remain permanent and unchallenged. Races would feature fewer position changes overall. Not more, because the gap between a car running clean air and one stuck in the dirty air would be insurmountable without that fleeting moment of reduced drag. DRS, paradoxically, was born to solve the problem it created. Modern, downforce-dependent cars following too closely together, but unable to pass. So yes, it makes overtaking easier in clean conditions, but remove it entirely and you don't get racing purity. You get processional monotony. The real insight is this: DRS isn't a shortcut to victory. It's a reset button that gives the driver behind a fighting chance for 10, maybe 20 seconds. And what they do with that chance depends entirely on their skill and their team's preparation. So here's what we've learned. DRS isn't a magic pass, it's a fighting chance, and that distinction matters enormously. First, it only works in the designated zones when you're within 1 second. It's not a free ticket to victory, it's a 10 to 20 second window where driver skill and team strategy decide everything. Second, removing it wouldn't give us pure racing. It would give us processions, because the aerodynamic gap between clean and dirty air would become impossible to overcome. And third, DRS was born from a real problem. Modern F1 cars create so much downforce that following closely means you lose grip. And without that reset button, the cars in front would be untouchable. The truth is, motorsport is always evolving, always searching for that perfect balance between technology and talent. So what aspect of Formula One engineering should we dig into next? Tire strategy, hybrid systems, Or maybe how teams extract every tenth from setup? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you're hungry for more technical deep dives from inside the paddock, please subscribe.